Hi everyone, today I will show you how to use Django StreamHttpResponse and the HTML5 server-side events to create a real-time application. So real-time means you don't need to refresh the page in order to display the latest data. So like refresh button is not really good and most of the users are not really happy doing that. Here are the list of items that I will be covering today. Why I select server-side events, messages format, how to open a connection, and how to create a stream of API data using the Django Stream HTTP response. And after this presentation, I'm going to show you how to create a real-time app using this Stream HTTP response and server-side events. There are three possible solutions that we can use for creating real-time application. One is polling or long polling. Polling is a scheduled event that will request data from the server. For example, every number of minutes it will always fetch data from the server even though there are no changes in the data. So the problem with this, most of the time we'll have a useless request since it will somehow return an empty result. Another thing is heavy internet bandwidth usage. So imagine if the user is only using a mobile data and unknowingly the app is polling data to the server every 10 minutes, this will be costly to the user. So polling is really not the right solution to create a real-time application. WebSockets. So WebSockets is a bidirectional so client and server can exchange data to each other. It uses HTTP protocol to initially handshake then later use WebSocket protocol. This can be overkill to real-time app that only requires to push data to clients and not the other way around. So we don't really need the WebSockets. Server-side events is a one direction that can only push data to client that subscribe in the event stream. It only uses the traditional HTTP protocol. So after defining the three possible solutions, I decided to select this server-side events since we only need to have a one direction and that is to push the data to client whenever there are real changes. Messages format that the server-side events to push to the client. It can be a single line which prefix data or multi-line also prefix the data or the JSON object which is also prefix the data. How to open a connection using server-side events. To open a server-side events connection, we just need to use the event source object and pass the URL of the stream data. Then you can register the callbacks on open, on message, and on error. So on open, if you want to check or make sure you have the open connection in the server-side events, and the on message callback, this will get the data that push from the server, and the on error if you want to capture the any type of error. Use stream a response from the Django to browser. It's the opposite of HTTP response, which only have a short-lived request. So this will help us to create an API into a stream of real-time data. Here's the basic example code. We are passing the iterator that yields the content to the streaming HTTP response. Since we are going to use server-side events, the content type that we are going to use is the text/event stream. Now I'm going to show you how to create a real-time app similar with the Facebook post using this stream HTTP response and server-side events. I already created the stream tutorial project, and inside the project I already created the post app wherein we can create like post some message, thoughts, or views like similar with the Facebook wall. Okay, I already have these URLs, and then I already have this views.py wherein it displayed the form for user to create a new post, and this will also create list down all the posts that the user has been created in order like the latest one. Okay, I already registered this up in the settings, so here, then I also have this post. I already have a templates post. Okay, templates post. Already have this template. So this is like I try to mimic the Facebook wall. So let's try to check. Let's try to run the development server. Let's go to the browser. Okay, let's try to hit refresh. Yeah, so as you can see, I already created this interface wherein the user can post similar with the Facebook wall. They can post some thoughts, views, or some criticisms or questions, and then other user can also see. But the problem with this, okay, let's try to create a new. Let's try to duplicate this, and let's try to submit some post. What you say is the best programming language? So as you can see, it will immediately list down the new post that the user has created on the same page. But if you go to the previous tab, like here, you won't see the new post that has been created from another tab. So unless you refresh this page, let's try to refresh. Okay, you see it's reflected. So we wanted to improve this by introducing real time. So let's say other user is trying to post or they post some new message on their wall, it will reflect to so other user can see the one that post by another user. So let's try to go to the code. Okay, let's try to start the development server. Let's try to open the post views. We will need to add this streaming API. We are going to use this streaming HTTP response. So as you know that this is the by the word itself streaming, it will be long live requests as long as you are connected. So let's try to go to the here. Let's try to create class post stream and then view. Then we will be inheriting this view so we can take advantage of the existing built-in methods. Define the get self and then request, and then here we just need to create a new variable response and then pass the streaming HTTP response. So this streaming HTTP response is accepting a generator, yield generator. So later we will create that. Then response, because in the front end we are going to use the server sent event and to stream the data. And that is the requirement is the content type should be this one, text event stream. So this is the requirement of the server send event. Otherwise, we will not able to communicate even if you have this streaming HTTP response. Event stream, okay, then return response. And then we have to create the function event stream. So this will be contain the data that is going to push to the clients. Let's say we should have initial data as empty, then while is equals to true, and then we have to get the data from the post that objects that's order by ID. So we will sort it by the latest post, and then we just want to get the selected field messages, date created, and username. Let's make it more readable like this. Okay. And because as I mentioned, right, the message format that the server sent event is like it can accept like word, like multi-line, or can accept a JSON objects. So but it should be prefixed by data. So for now we are going to pass JSON objects. Here we will try to dump it, so it will not return as the value query set. List. Okay. Then the JSON Django JSON order. Okay. Then we have to check whether initial data is not equal to data. So that's the time we yield data prefix. I mentioned as prefix, and then data. So if there's changes, you have to yield and push, means push to the client only when there's a changes. And then let's reassign the data after we check, and then we just give some time to breathe in this while through. Okay. And another thing is we need to add this in the URL, post URLs py. Okay, post stream you, then have to create this new URL stream. So this will be the stream of real-time data. Post stream view. Let's name it as the stream. Okay, in the template, let's need to consume that. We are going to consume that stream of real-time data. Here, how to consume is, as I mentioned in the presentation, right? We have to open a connection. So how to open a connection? First, we have to declare a variable. Let's name it the event source, and open a new event source object. Event source, and then you have to subscribe with this stream API URL. So what is that? Is this one URL post stream. Okay. So once you able to open a connection, you will able to use the built-in callback of the event source, which is the on open. One is the on open, And then let's try to add a console log, so we have to see whether it's have an open connection. And so we also want to subscribe on the data, so we have to use this callback on message, so every time there's a new message coming in or pushing from the server to the client. So let's try to console also this one. Okay, and so if we also want to capture the error, we want to use this callback on error function e, let's say console.log, so.log error e. So let's try to check it out. Let's try to run the development server. Okay, let's go to the Chrome. Let's try to open the inspect. Let's try to refresh the page. So I just want to see the, okay, there's an error. So that's how we capture the error. So now we see some error, but let's check this internal error. Uh, let's go to the terminal. So I think there is an error. I think let's try to stop it. It says line 53 in the false views.py. So let's debug that. Line 53. Okay. Okay, so I type more than 3 wrong spelling. So let's try to run the development server again. Okay, let's go to the browser. That's it. Refresh. Okay, we don't see any error. Let's check the info. So we see we have an open connection, but still have some error. So what is this error? Error. Okay, let's check it out. What is this? Okay, let's make it more. Okay, let's go down. Okay, let's make it more. Make the error more readable. I think I cannot get the error 100. Maybe let's do like this. Okay, let's run the development server. Let's go to the browser. Let's try to hit the refresh button. Okay, now the error is more clear. Something wrong on the code. Let's go back to the code. Okay, let's try to fix it. But I see it's streaming, but there's some error. Okay, here. Okay, stream here. Oh, okay. So I see it's streaming, but it never returns some data. So we have to pass this data stream. Okay, let's try to run the development server. Okay, let's try to go to the Chrome. Oops, event stream. Okay, there's a wrong spelling. Okay, event stream. Run the development server. Okay, and then go to the Chrome. Hit the refresh. We just want to see the streaming is really happening. Still have some error. Okay, let's go back to the code. I think there's some error. Okay, we are debugging it on the fly, but don't worry, I can manage to run the development server. Okay, go to the browser. Okay, that's it. You can see I have the event stream. So you see this is the event stream. So this is not like will always polling every time there's scheduled polling. This is only the server will only push data to the client, which is this is the client, only when there's changes on the its data. Let's say there's a new data inserted to the database or record, it will. So let's try to do that. Okay, let's try to create a new post here. Let's say, okay, here let's try to post new message. So and then let's go to the previous tab. So you see, it will only update when there's a changes. Like this one is the changes. So let's try to apply it in the GUI. So let's try to use that to show the Facebook wall of the user. So let's go to the terminal again. Okay, let's improve this and continue editing this. So we no longer need this since this is not the real time one. Uh, we wanted to use that in here. Okay, let's say function build content message. Let's say username and then the date created. So we are going to reuse this. Okay, and then here will be, let's call it content. And let's return it content. Okay, here we are going to change this username as the variable, the one that argument that is this one. We just want to replace it with this because we no longer using the Django one. We are going to use the JavaScript way to render this HTML. How about this message also? So this will be message, and the last hour. So this will be last hour. So last hour we have to calculate the last hour based on the date created. So let's say that last hour date created. Um, but we have to create that function. I think I already created that function. We just need to paste that. Meantime, here, okay, let's just paste this. So get last hour here. So that's it. So this is the function to build the content on the fly, but we have to you need to add it in the on message. So it should trigger when there is a new message coming into the client. So let's try. First, we have to get the final data. Final data. Let's name it as a final data. That data. This data is the one that is passing by the server to client. But this one we have to parse. So we can this basic. So basically, it's a string of JSON. So we have to parse it in order to make use of the built-in for loop of this JavaScript, like this one, that for each, and then for each function, for each item, okay, we have to loop through the item, and then while looping, we are building the content. We have to pass the message user username, okay, and then the date created, okay. So I think we also need some placeholder for the content here, and then while looping it should concatenate plus equal concatenate, and then that's the time we after that we display in the document get element by id, and the id that stream content dot inner html content. So basically this stream content, let's find it. This is the one. So this will be replaced by that every time there's a new data, it will replace by this new content. Okay. Uh, okay, that's all I think. So let's try to run the development server. Okay. Let's go to the browser. Okay, let's close this inspection. Let's refresh this. Oops, there's runtime error. Let's check it out. Let's check the error here. Token, I think there is some excess in there. Oh, there is some excess on this one. Okay, let's try to fix that. Let's go back to the terminal. Okay, okay, let's try to run the development server. Run the development server. Then let's go to the browser. Let's try to hit the refresh button. Okay, that's it. You can see we are showing the same post, but this is better than before because this is real time. So like in this, let's say, let's go to the admin and let's try to delete something. Okay, let's try to delete something. Okay, let's try to delete this. Let's try to, you can see this is the one, right? Let's try to delete that. It will immediately reflect. Yes. Okay, now is it? Let's go back to the previous tab. You see it's immediately reflect. Okay, let's try to log in as let's log out and log in as a different user. Let's say user one. Okay, and then let's try to post something like, hey, this is user one. What's up? Okay, you see it's reflecting here, but how about in the previous tab? Let's take a look. You see it's also reflecting, so but this is coming from the user one. So that's it. I think this is like I just made a simple real-time application similar with the Facebook wall.